Greetings and salutations from Dr. JP and Feeling Good Every Day. Today we're talking about how to feed yourself. This is a fundamental question that every creature has to ask itself. All creatures, all plants, all bacteria, all animals know how to feed themselves. Most of them are born with knowing how to do this. It's called instinct. And yet we humans with our giant brains have seemed to overthink this. And so we have lost our way and really don't know how to feed ourselves. In my opinion, after having studied health for over 50 years and nutrition for over 30 years, I find that this is the most fundamental issue that we have as a species today. And I mean that from the bigger picture, including what's going on with the world and many of the challenges we face, from our political disagreements to our environmental crises to economic crises to pandemic. Because how we feed ourselves determines everything. You've probably heard of the microbiome, which has 10 times as many cells as you have human cells in your body. Most of those creatures, which are something that are not human, are living in your gut. And what they do, the chemicals that they emit, how much they actually digest your food and extract the nutrition from it, determines not only how healthy your body is, but what is going on in your mind. Because the chemicals that they emit and the signals that they create are as influential on your mind as anything else. If you have issues such as anxiety, depression, concentration issues like ADD, memory issues, confusion, brain fog, all of this is likely related to what's going on in your gut, either because of what nutrition is being extracted or simply because of the environment that they're creating with inflammation, the toxins that they do or don't process, and so forth. So this issue of how to feed ourselves is absolutely central to every choice that we make in our lives. It's the most fundamental question that every creature asks itself when it wakes up. How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to nurture myself? And we've really lost our way because we have all of these highly processed things, highly pesticided things, genetically modified organisms, GMO, which really means that they get to put 11 times more pesticides on it, that are confusing us because all of those other chemicals and processing and leaving out important pieces of nutrition that happen because of the way we produce our food, we are really confusing our brains about what we should eat. And this voting block that is in your gut is the biggest voting block in your life. There's 10 times as many of them as there is of you. And this is why it's so challenging to feed yourself, because you think that you are eating because you like a flavor of something or whatever, or that the nutrition of that thing, you've read someone's blog that says this is important, and so you want to choose that thing. And yet, what's really happening is what the microbes want, because there's simply so many more of them and they have so much influence. So let's start with what I call the wisdom of the stars. You know, we have nearly 8 billion people in the earth right now. And if you ask them what to eat, you're going to get 8 billion answers, which is part of the confusion, because a lot of those people have blogs and websites and books and are telling you that you need to eat this way or need to eat that way. And yet nature itself, when we tune into it, actually tells us how to eat. I call this the wisdom of the stars because we literally are stardust. That is what makes up our bodies. And the sun, our closest star, is what makes us alive. It is where we get 100% of our energy from. Even when we talk about things like fossil fuels, the earth itself is attracted to the sun with all of its minerals and so forth. And so the sun is the source of life. Plants are the only thing that has figured out how to control or to gather that energy from the sun and turn it into life. So we are all tied 100% of the time to plants for our life. We have created all kinds of things. Our technology is fantastic, but we have never created any technology that surpasses what plants know how to do in terms of capturing that energy from the sun. And I actually think of the plants as this delicious delivery system because, again, we are of the earth. We are of this planet. It is what our bodies are made of. And yet, I don't really want to eat dirt. However, the plants have figured out how to extract that nutrition, the minerals, and other good benefits of the earth and turn it into something delicious for us. And so I thank the plants for doing that. And if we look at the actual structure of the plant, we will again learn how to feed ourselves because of how the plant does it. So the most nutritious part of the plant is what I call the solar array. So you have the leaves of the plant. So things that are dark green and leafy have a lot of chlorophyll in them. That is the chemical that captures that energy from the sun. It is mostly in the leaves of the plant. So eating lots of things like spinach and lettuce and kale and cabbage, all of these things have the most nutrition of the plant in them. Then we look at the stem that holds up the plant. This is the structure. It contains minerals, it contains fiber, and other things that provide us the structure to hold up our bodies. Then we have the roots of the plant, which is where it stores this energy, usually as things like tubers or bulbs, such as onions and potatoes and so forth. Those root vegetables are storing the energy of the plant. So if you are having issues with not having enough calories, you probably want to eat more root vegetables. However, if you have had excessive calories in the past and you have turned those into fat, and so you need to lose weight, you need to minimize the numbers of root vegetables. And unfortunately, if we look at the only 3 foods are 60% of the calories in the United States. That's potatoes, corn, and wheat. If we looked at our hunter-gatherer ancestors, some of them still tribes in Africa, they eat over 5,000 different foods in the course of a year. And yet we're eating just 3 foods, all of which are very high carbohydrate, very high glycemic index, and that compromises more than half of our calories. So when we look at the fruits of the plant, and this includes things that we typically think of as vegetables, such as tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, peppers, green beans, squash. Those are all the fruits of the plant, as well as those sweeter things that we think of like apples and cherries and plums and so forth. So the fruits of the plant is where it is going to reproduce. So the plant has already used some of its energy to create this vessel for its offspring. So while fruits have many benefits to them, and all those colorful things are what are called phytonutrients, P-H-Y-T-O, nutrients, they help the plant to survive. And they help us to survive as well. So we want to eat that rainbow of colors. And remember that the fruit has already used up some of the energy of the plant. So still getting those green leafies, some of the stalks of the plant, even on things like broccoli and cauliflower, as well as celery and so forth, those help us get structure. We can get other of those phytonutrients in some of our root vegetables in portion sizes that fit what your energy needs are. And then we can have all the delicious fruits to help us get more of those phytonutrients. So this is the basic concept of how to feed yourself. At Feeling Good Every Day, we go into much greater detail about how to do this easily and deliciously. We're all about the middle way. It's not the extremes of what you may be reading about or hearing about or watching videos about, but actually a middle way that is accessible for almost everyone. And it does include eating lots more plants, because that's what the energy of the sun and life comes from. So that's our How to Feed Yourself today. And please subscribe and click the bell so that you can get more videos to learn more about feeling good every day.